All right, everybody, welcome back. We are live today on YouTube and Facebook, and we are kicking off 2025 right. Guys, one of the challenges that we all have in our business, and especially as we roll in from one year to the next, and we start to have all of these New Year's resolutions and goals, and just things that we've got on our vision board, is making sure that we are growing our business. But you can't just haphazardly do that, right? It's very important that you've got some type of system and plan that not only can keep track of what you're doing, but really hold you accountable. So thought it was super important to bring on my friend Sharad today. He is the owner and developer, mastermind, all things behind REsimpli, which really over the last couple of years has sort of taken our industry by storm. And every single real player that I know in the industry is using his software. So wanted to come in and have him talk about today, like the system, like really, maybe why you developed it, how it kind of came about. But really, I love that you approach stuff and looking at the KPIs and the accountability and make sure that, we can track our data and track our marketing efforts and make sure that, as an investor, every dollar we spend, that we know where it's going and that it's going to we're not wasting that money. So I appreciate you coming on today. Thank you so much. Coming to us live from South California, but far away from the fire. So welcome.
Thank you, David, for having me. Happy New Year to you
Yeah.
and your audience. Yeah, super excited to be on this call with you. Yeah. Let me start by giving you a little bit of a background. So I live in
Yeah.
San Diego area, right outside San
Beautiful.
Diego in Carlsbad, so about 30-40 minutes north of San Diego downtown.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so I started ReSimpli back in 2017. So I'm an active investor. I invest
Hmm.
in Lake County, Northwest Indiana, right outside of Chicago. Why I picked that market is because I used to live in Chicago, and Lake County is practically a suburb of Chicago. So I just started investing there. And then I bought my first property August 2010. Then August 2015, I moved to Carlsbad area now for my
Yeah.
wife's job. And by then I did about 700 deals. And then I started looking at my business. I realized, I needed system processes. There were so many inefficiencies, which I didn't
Sure.
even pay attention to while I was so close to my business. So a couple of years, like 2016 or 17, I hired a couple of developers, just had them started working on something for myself. Then it kind of just grew from there. And then it kept evolving from there. Like it's
Mhm.
grown way beyond my need at this point with everything that I have going on. I do about 20-25 flips a year. It's all remote, still in Indiana market. And
Nice.
in addition to that, I own 60 rental units and a property management company also in
Oh,
addition
wow.
to that. Yeah.
Nice. It's interesting that the business grew out of something that, you saw is lacking in the marketplace, something that you couldn't find. And that's very similar to us and how we created our transactions company.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, back then, Podio was pretty much what everyone was using. I
Hmm.
didn't like the way, I think I signed up for Podio for like
Mm.
5 minutes. I just didn't like the way it looked. They were just so clunky. And then
Yeah.
I would have to go and get all these different software to integrate.
Yeah.
I just didn't like the idea. So I'm like, you know what? I'm
Mhm.
just gonna have someone create something super simple for
Yeah.
myself, very specific. And then I was part of a couple of masterminds. Then it started just growing from there. People started asking me, how can I use it? And I'm like, oh,
Mhm.
maybe I should have other people start using it.
Yeah. I've had people refer to Podio as, excuse me, as polio because it's constantly breaking and, never can stay up.
Yeah, I mean, people that are using Podio or some form of Salesforce, it takes them away from revenue generating activity, in my opinion, and they end up working on the tech side, which they shouldn't have to. I mean, if you need a developer to fix your CRM, then your CRM didn't do a good job of creating it. That's how we look at it. It should be just completed. Like
Hmm.
we are a tech company, we'll take care of all the tech side. You shouldn't have to hire a developer. And
Yeah.
that's kind of what I thought. Like I'm not gonna have an iPhone and then also use an Android phone for
Yeah.
Gmail calendar and then integrate. It just
Yeah.
doesn't seem very intuitive. Yeah.
Mhm. A couple of reasons I think why you guys have really blown up is because you're a real investor, so you know what's actually needed. And I know most of the guys that run CRMs were investors at some point, in the past. But the other thing is, in this really differentiates you from somebody like Podio, is that everything is all built in and integrated,
Right.
like an iPhone. The reasons Androids hang up and get clunky is because it's just this cobbled mess
Right.
of different applications where, when you can have everything native and all built in together, it always works. And, before there's a software update, of course, you guys, test all of that stuff. But the last thing you said is keeping it simple, right? Which is
Yeah.
literally in your name, because I've tried some of those other softwares and they're just, my God, so complicated. It's almost like the owners, the founders, they just keep adding so many things on there that you can't even navigate it anymore. It gets very, very hard to manage.
David, that is so true. That, I believe, is the most difficult part of what we do. Is
Hmm.
it's easy to add functionality, right?
Yeah.
It's that part is not difficult, but the difficult part is how do you add it and it just seems native to what you have created. It doesn't
Hmm.
overwhelm someone. They don't have to go to like 10 different places to, like create one lead or just
Yeah.
perform a function. I think that creating something complicated is easy, but creating
Hmm.
something simple,
Yeah.
in my opinion, is very difficult. That's a difficult challenge, is like just creating something super simple, very complicated on the back end, but very simple on the front end. That's the challenge that we love.
Yeah, and that's Elon Musk says that, like, that their goal is to take things out, right, to
Yeah.
really get it down to its simplest form. And Apple is the just really the masters of that. If you look at an iPhone, if you go buy the newest iPhone today because you want all the features, you look at it and you're like, damn, looks just like my old iPhone, because they keep that simplicity of how to use it. It's very just so intuitive. So big fan of that.
Yeah, agree.
So cool. So when did you actually start Resimpli?
I started. I mean, I hired developers in 16, made some mistakes, had to just basically get rid of them, restart in 17, and it wasn't until end of 2019, so like good 2 years before we had, before I was using something that we opened it up for other people. So it's
Yeah.
end of 2019. I was part of Gary Harper's mastermind, and
Hmm.
that's where we got our first few people that were interested in using it. Like I would go on hot seats and like kind of talk about what I'm doing in my business, talk about the KPIs and
Yeah.
whatnot, and then that's where like people got interested. And one of the reasons why like it's very data driven is I used to be an accountant before I left my job to do full time real estate. So that's where
Yeah.
like the data part comes in from. It's like someone who looks at recently can just tell it's very
Hmm.
data driven. Like we track a
Hmm.
lot of KPIs, but that
Yeah.
comes from me being an accountant in my previous life.
Yeah. I could tell you, as somebody who, I've done 1,600 wholesale deals or something over, the last 15 years, keeping track of the numbers was not always the thing. I mean, I kept track of the checks, but
Right.
keeping track of the other data was not something that I was good at for probably the first half of that career. And when I started understanding the KPIs and the numbers and how the business actually ran, that was when I saw that explosive growth. So I think you're absolutely right. Again, I've used some of the other systems and the reports are lacking. I mean, I would just tell you that. I'm not going to call anybody out by name, but also, and I think I've told you this when we've talked before, because we're in a couple of the same masterminds. But the first time that you really came to my attention, you did a presentation talking about the data for, I think it might have
Right.
been 2023, and I was just
Right.
blown away. One, that somebody was calculating all that stuff, really almost on an industry wide level,
Right.
and but that you had it for all of your users, because once you have that data, you can see what's happening, in the recent, or even in the last year. Well, then you can use that to plan for the next year. So
Yeah,
uh,
especially when you think about, what we do as real estate investors.
mhm,
It's more or less a marketing business. More than
correct.
anything, it's a marketing
Yeah.
business.
Hmm.
If you want to be successful, the most successful investors in our industry are the best at marketing. Like if you stop doing marketing, your leads stop coming in. If you don't have leads coming in, you're not converting them into deals. If you're not
Hmm.
converting them into deals, you don't have any business.
Right.
So if you like, if there's one thing investors can do, like, one of the top things we notice, some of our most successful investors, people doing more than 40 to 50 or more than 100 deals a year, or at least making seven figures. One of the top things that they're doing really well is they are, for one, very consistent with marketing. they're not stopping their marketing if they have
Right.
a bad month or a bad quarter. So they're consistent with marketing. And once their leads are coming in, they're very consistent with their sales process. They're
Yeah.
consistent with their follow up. And once they have those leads converting into deals, then they're very consistently following up KPIs and making decisions based on the KPI. I
Right.
think what we notice a lot of investors, what they do in their businesses, they might have, they might be spending, let's say, $10,000 on, let's say, direct mail marketing, and they make 30, 40,000 in their business.
Yeah.
On the surface, it looks really good. They're like, okay, I spent 10,000, I made 30,000, for every dollar that I put in, I made 3x, great. But the question is, if you're marketing, let's say if you're doing direct mail and then you're marketing to absentee list and let's say probate list for this example, did you make that money from absentee or probate? And
Hmm.
like once you start digging deep into it, you may realize that you actually made that money from probate, and instead
Yeah.
of 10,000, you actually spent only 2,000 marketing to
Yeah.
probate list. So your ROI is it's actually $2,000 spent to make 30,000. And if you have the data over 4 to 6 mailing over like at
Mhm.
least 6 month period, and you can look at the numbers and notice that it's actually the probate list that's making
Yeah.
you more money than your other list. I'm just using probate as an
Sure.
example. But if you start tracking different variables, you will definitely notice that one marketing channel is working better than the other, or one list is performing better than the other. Then your goal becomes to double down on the marketing.
Exactly.
A lot of investors in our business, David, I'm sure you'll agree that they focus so much on the top line number,
Yeah.
but they don't focus enough on the net
Hmm.
income. Like I would much rather have a business that makes me, 700,000, 800,000 top line, but I can net 250, 300, versus have a business that I'm making seven figure.
Hmm.
It's very bloated business, but my net is like 50 to
Yeah.
$100,000 because then I have
Yeah.
so many operational expenses there. I think
Right.
that's where investors get so focused on the vanity numbers.
Hmm.
I mean, it's important to grow your top line number, but it should never come at the expense of your net profit number.
Right.
And just to put some context around the data that we look at, on a minimum, like what we recommend, what we suggested, like you want to make minimum 3x on your marketing. So any
Hmm.
dollar that you're putting in, you want to make at least 3x on your marketing. So every dollar that you put in, you should make 3x. Anything less than three, either the marketing channel is not good or you don't have a good sales process. Those will be the only two reasons. And 3 to 5x is good. Anything over 5x, you're doing really, really good. I would just double down on that marketing channel and then just see. So if you have, let's say, spending $10,000 on direct mail and you get
Hmm.
3x, and you're spending $10,000 on PPC and you're making, let's say, 6x,
Yeah.
I would, and if you have additional $10,000 to spend, I would allocate more of that to PPC and see if you can still maintain that 6x ROI.
Right.
Even if instead of 6x, it 6x, it goes down to like 5x, even
Yeah.
4x, you're still making more money than you would with direct mail. I think making those sort of decisions is where you can really, really start standing out from other investors, like really knowing your numbers. And it's not super complicated. Like at a minimum, I would say everyone track their ROI for every dollar putting in, how much money is coming back. So that's what once people start doing that, it just opens their eyes to like the insight that they did not have before.
Right. One thing I always say, because I'm not as smart as you, but I say, every dollar that goes out is like a little soldier, and it needs to
Yeah,
come back with 3 or 4 friends, right? So we
100%.
want to make sure that we are getting that return. Um, can you show us a little bit? I'm sure you have a
Sure.
little presentation. I think you have control of the screen, but yeah, I would definitely, yeah, I'd love to see some more of it in action.
Yeah, let's
See if I
let me
can.
share my screen. Okay,
There you go.
wait. All right. Let me know when you can see my screen.
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay.
What am I doing? Hang on, I'm making sure we have tech stuff here on our side that we're doing it right.
All
Show
right.
on. Okay, now we got it.
Okay, perfect. So you see a page that said lead.
Yep.
Okay, perfect. All right. So one thing we look at in our business is any successful investor that is that's doing like consistent volume. There's like four things we notice, like four pillars, if you want to call them four pillars of a successful investor. One would be data. second would be marketing, third would be sales, fourth would be operations. So on the data side, you would have list pulling, you would have list stacking, your data management, you would have your skip tracing. So that's on the data side. Once you have that, then you're marketing to the data that you have. You could be doing direct mail, cold calling, SMS,
Hmm.
and inbound marketing like PPC, TV, radio, or driving for dollars. So that comes from your marketing side or website. And then once you have those leads coming in, you're converting them into deals using, that's the sales side of it. So how many leads you're converting into deals, and also on the sales side of it, once you have a property under contract, like selling your buyers to make the highest assignment fee or profit on that deal. And the operation side would be managing your vendors, your books, your KPIs, your financials. That would be on the operation side. That's kind of how we look at the four pillars of real estate investing. So I'll kind of go over what we have built within REsimpli around those four pillars. If you have any questions, just feel free to ask.
Yeah.
Sounds good?
No, I love it that you could do some bookkeeping in here and keep track of all of that. That's fantastic.
Absolutely.
It just eliminates all those extra systems that you need to have to cobble together or to bounce back and forth in to try to get the data that you
Absolutely.
need.
Sorry, give me 1 second. Let me log into my other test account that might have a little bit more data
Okay.
populated. Give me 1 second.
No problem.
I'll just use. All right, I'll just use this one, but yeah. Okay, cool. Let me know when my screen's visible.
Got it.
All right. So on the data side, we have list stacking,
Yep.
and then with every list stacking is basically if you have multiple sources of data. For example, if you're getting your list from county and you're doing driving for dollars, and then you want to
Hmm.
stack those lists to make sure there's no overlap. If there's any overlap, then you want to market to people that might be on your probate list, absentee list, and driving for dollars, or any other list, because generally everything else being equal, the more lists that a person shows up on, the
Yep.
more motivation, the higher motivation that they have. So
Sure.
there might be higher chance of converting them. So this would be your data side of on the list. In REsimpli, you can call, text, and email from right here. You can skip trace. Skip tracing is
Oh,
included
wow.
for free right here, and then you keep track of your marketing, any marketing you've done, whether direct mail, calling,
Oh, wow.
texting, RVM that you've sent to any of your sellers that you have. So this kind of helps you manage on the data side the different prospects that you might have in your business. It helps you keep track of that. And we also have driving for dollar. That's also on the data side that a lot of our investors use. It's
Oh,
included
wow.
in all the plans. So we have a native iOS and Android app that you
Uh-huh.
can use to basically drive for dollar and then start pulling your list. So any driving for dollar that you're doing, any property that you add, it automatically gets added in your list stacking, and it
Oh,
stacks
that's
against
fantastic.
any other list that you have. Then you can come in. You can skip trace from the app also, but you can skip trace from the app or here, and then just start calling, texting, or emailing them, or start sending them direct mail. So that would be on the data side of it. And
Hmm.
then on the marketing side, we have direct mail and websites built in. So each account in REsimpli comes with one seller and one buyer website. So you can set up a buyer website and also set up a seller website free of
Nice.
charge. Um, Sorry, did you say something?
Yeah. No, I love that you've got the Driving for Dollars app and it's all integrated in here.
Right.
I
Yep.
can't
No,
tell you how many
absolutely.
times I've been out driving around and I would have to send a text to somebody on my team, 123
Exactly.
Main Street.
Yeah.
And, or, using one of the Driving for Dollars, standalone apps,
Right.
then at some point you still got to move that over to your CRM. So I think it's fantastic that that's all in there, plus a dialer, plus the texting.
Yep. And then
Fantastic.
this is what a website would look like. So this is built on ReSimpli. All you need is just a domain name, and then you basically link up your website within ReSimpli, and then you have a website ready to go. You don't need to pay anything extra, and it's
Right.
fully integrated, baked in ReSimpli, so it's native. So anytime someone goes in, they
Hmm.
fill out any information of a seller, then it automatically goes into the CRM side of it and just starts some automation on the back end. It's super, super simple to do this. And then coming
So if you're
back here,
running any kind of SEO or PPC, you can just run it right to that page.
exactly. Yeah, we have several landing pages that you can create for PPC purposes, which are very successful, like a very detailed and very optimized landing pages for your web and your mobile that you can use for PPC purposes. That's what
Yeah.
a lot of investors are doing. Yeah.
Nice.
And
I
then
love it.
on the marketing side, you can also go in and do direct mail, and then also like push it to a dialer if you want to start like cold calling session from within ReSimpli. So if you want to order direct mail, you click right here. It takes you through some steps. You can choose postcard letter,
Mhm.
handwritten letters, check letters, and just send out from within ReSimpli. So you don't need to leave the platform. It gets done all within the platform.
Wow, that's amazing.
So
And
that
all,
would be
yeah, all online, so you can pick it up on one computer, move, no matter where
exactly.
you're at, it's always available to you.
Exactly. Yep. That was always the goal, to make it as seamless as possible, remove any friction that you have, so everything gets done. So you don't have any, reason or friction to, oh, now I need to export my data, go into this system to do this. No, it just,
Yeah,
you have all your data, just click a button and you send direct mail, or you start calling, texting, or emailing from right here.
yeah. Man,
So
I
that
can
would,
tell you, that's fantastic. Because at one point I was using a dispositions platform, a CRM, and I remember going into a meeting with my team, and I was like, "Oh, our reports are crap, so we're going to set up these Google Drive." I'm like, "I'm sorry, but now we're going to be working between three just to do
yeah,
the basics." We
yeah.
weren't doing anything complicated.
Yeah, no, I mean that's the number one thing that we hear from our investors as the biggest value add is like it just integrates everything that they're doing in their business, from
Hmm.
the data, the marketing, the disposition, everything gets done within ReSimpli. Like they don't have to leave. It just all the communication, everything is right there.
Hmm.
So yeah, that would be the marketing side, your website, your cold calling, texting, direct mail, anything you're doing. And once those leads, prospects start becoming leads, then it comes into the CRM side of it. This would be the sales side of the business. So
Gotcha.
you have your leads coming in, any call that you have, any text that you have, everything gets logged in right here, and then you can easily call, text, and email from within ReSimpli, and then all the communication log, everything will be saved within ReSimpli. So then the goal here would be, we have the simple pipeline built out. The goal here is to basically move your lead from left to right, basically get the property under
Hmm.
contract.
Yeah.
So then the investors can set up their statuses, and they're moving these leads from left to right to get these under contract.
Nice.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
beautiful. Very clean, just like what we do. I like to
yeah,
keep it as
yeah.
simple as possible. I'm a simple caveman. I don't want to, have to become a NASA rocket scientist to figure out how to use this.
Exactly. Yeah. No, the simpler, the better. So now we also have this, cash buyers feature built in. Let me see if I have. Let me go into another account that might have some data in it. It's, okay. All right. Let's see. Okay, perfect. So this property has a property address. I can go into cash buyers. I click a button, and it gives me a list of all the cash buyers for that property. It
Dang.
gives me the property they bought, their mailing address, how many deals they've done. I can call, I can text my buyers right here, and it
Oh, that's
shows me,
awesome.
yeah, it shows me how many times I've called them, texted them. If the phone
Mhm.
number matches with an existing buyer that I have, it shows right here. their email, I can just click right here to send them a quick email. It shows me what type of property they bought, purchase info, sale info, profit margin, holding period, bedroom, bathroom, and the square foot. And then if you have a property where you do not find any information, you can just click right here and you
Uh-huh.
can skip trace for that owner if you have the information
Oh,
for them.
nice.
Yeah. And then you
That's
can
amazing.
also switch to a map view to see this is subject property. So you can see this person bought the property for 174, and then you have a little bit of more context around that property. You can call them and then just try to, talk to them about possibly buying the property that you have. So it
Yeah.
shows you the investor that have bought flip properties or
Mhm.
buy and hold properties.
Oh, wow. I
Yeah.
like that. And then you can send like one email to just like all the buyers or all the ones that you have in your system.
Correct. Yeah, you can do bulk email and bulk text messages to your buyers that you have. And then you can have different filters that you've applied for your buyers. Like if you want to
Mhm.
filter based on the specific city, zip, county, tags, and then, based on their buy box or whatnot, you can apply those filters. And then based on the property that you have, just send a quick email out to them.
Nice. Now, what about all the new laws that are coming out? I think there's even more laws going into effect this month with texting and cold calling. Any issues for you guys there?
I think the ones that are going in that I'm aware of going in effect with texting is the one-on-one consent that you have. So if you
Mhm.
are selling leads, if you sell leads to third party,
Oh,
then
God.
someone like a lead provider or the the paper lead companies. I think those are the ones that are getting impacted. But I would say like texting and calling is getting more and more difficult. So what we do is, in order to comply, if you're texting them for the first time, we automatically add your company information. So you cannot send a text without adding your company information, and the first text will have reply stop to unsubscribe option.
I
So
gotcha.
that's required by the carriers. But as texting it's getting more difficult now. But in order to text now, people have to go through A to B 10 DLC compliant, and
Mhm.
that's one thing we've done with our website is to make it A to B 10 DLC compliant, so you can use our website just out of the gate and then
Good.
get approved for A to B 10 DLC.
Good. I like that. I know all your clients appreciate that because I don't want to figure out what the law is and make
Right.
sure that I'm being compliant. So I love that it's already built in and I don't have to even think about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And then, but we still, there's always best practices. Basically, the law is like, don't text people that have not opted in to receive text messages from
Mhm.
you. As long as you do that, you'll be fine. If you're like cold texting, with
Yeah.
buyers, a little bit different. Like, generally, if I'm a buyer in the area, I'm okay someone texting me a deal as
Hmm.
long as I'm receiving good deals. If someone is just sending me random deals,
Yeah.
in an area I don't invest, if they send me like whole of Indiana, which would happen with some platforms out there, then I would just end up unsubscribing. So that's what each investor needs to take a little bit of responsibility that they're
Yeah.
not spamming anyone,
Right.
basically. Yeah.
Right. Got
Cool.
it.
Right.
Cool.
And then yeah, you can manage your dispo and like task and management. We integrate with Google Calendars and Gmail, so you can also link up your Gmail account. It's a two-way sync, so you receive your emails within REsimpli. You can reply to your emails, and anything basically you delete in Gmail gets deleted in REsimpli. Anything you delete in REsimpli gets deleted in Gmail. So it's a two-way sync, which absolutely our investors love. That they don't even have to go into Gmail now to
Uh-huh.
manage the emails that they have.
Oh, fantastic.
And then files is similar to think of it like your Google Drive or Dropbox. You can upload all your pictures, videos, everything, share
Oh,
them
nice.
with anyone outside, and
Mhm.
everything is done within ReSimpli. So you don't have to use Google Drive or Dropbox outside.
Yeah.
And then e-sign would be like we have e-sign integration, so you can send documents for e-sign. And then portfolio tab shows for this property how many other properties this owner has based on the mailing address. So we'll pull the
Oh, wow.
list of all the properties, their total portfolio side, how
Hmm.
much is the estimated value, the value, the loan, and the total equity that they have. So this comes from public record. So
Right.
if you're talking to this seller, you could be like, "Hey, I noticed that you have other property that's 102,678. Would you be interested in selling that also?"
My goodness.
Yeah.
You
And the
guys are
team,
just teeing it up for people. Like every bit of information you need is right there.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, the again, like the goal when we started the company was we had three. goals, that we wanted to achieve. One, it needed to be an all-in-one software. We wanted to make sure it gave really good data that you could use to make decisions based on that, and then it had to be super simple to use, hence the name
Yeah.
REsimpli. And that's kind of what three things we keep in mind anytime we're developing something is, okay, is it helping us get to the goal that we had when we started the company?
Right.
Yeah.
No, I think it's fantastic that it's all built into one.
Yeah.
Again, even when I started this, in 2005 and six, like there was a whole host of programs and applications that I had to be subscribed to. And even beyond that, like I always had this fantasy, geez, if I'd have started real estate investing when I was in college in 1990, but like there wasn't even computers back then. I don't have any idea
Right.
how I did stuff then.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I mean the goal is like our goal is not for our investors to come in and spend the most time possible in
Hmm.
REsimpli. Like yes, some people, depending on your goal, if your team member is cold caller, they'll be spending more time. But as an owner, you should be able to come in and with very minimal time know exactly what's going on in your business, and then be able to make decisions on what's going to help you improve your business. Like that's kind of the goal that we look at, is how can we help you improve, like spend less time and be more efficient with your time.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah. Yeah, so this would be our lead side of it. Then once you get a property under contract, it goes into a transaction management pipeline where you're managing your transactions. Basically, again, the goal is you get a new contract. The goal is to move from left to right, get it to closing. And once you get it to closing, you're either, if you're flipping, you take it to the inventory pipeline where you manage your fix and flip. If you're wholesaling, you move it to sold, complete the transaction. If you're going to keep it as a rental, then you move it to rental and then just kind of add it to your portfolio.
Oh, super.
So that would be on the sales side of it, and then on the your operation side of the business would be your buyers. So list of buyers that you have in your database. So any of the cash buyers that I showed earlier, you can push them to your buyers list, and then you can apply different filters, select them, just click a button and send emails or text to those, manage, like add city, remove from city, like, basically update your buyers database that you have. And then and then every buyer, you can see how many deals that buyer has done with you, how many inquiries they've had, how many offers they made, how many open houses they've attended. So you get a really good history of each buyer within REsimpli that you can manage and kind of see what's going on. And same thing happens with vendors. So vendors would be anyone that's not a buyer, agent, or a seller. So this would be your contractors, your title companies, your lenders, or anybody, your accountants, everyone. You can even manage them, call, text, email all your buyers, vendors, and sellers from within REsimpli.
Wow. Do
And
you
then
have like a dispo site pulled up that or queued up that we could look at, like what the
uh,
property looks like on the sell side?
yes, let me do this. All right. This is for one of our investors in
Oh,
Pittsburgh area. And this is right out of the box, out of the gate. This is what the website looks like. So this
uh,
is like powered by REsimpli. So each investor gets one disposition website, which looks like this, and one acquisition website, which I showed earlier.
yeah.
And then you can fully customize it, but this is what it looks like out of the gate. You can click right here. You can upload all your pictures, and then you can click on attend open house, inquire about property. So anytime someone, let's say, makes an offer, it automatically goes into your REsimpli in that lead. So it all keeps everything synced. And then these are all the pictures that you have that are uploaded on REsimpli. But anyone can just easily view these pictures. So it makes
Wow.
it super, super simple to manage the property that you have.
Oh,
So
wow.
this
That's
would be on your disposition side, and if someone wanted to see all your listing, they can see all the listings that you have and the status of every single listing.
oh, wow.
Yeah. So yeah, this would be the disposition website, and then this would be the acquisition, your
Yeah.
typical seller website that you can manage. And then as these people are filling in information on the website, all of that gets synced with that specific buyer. So if I had someone go to my website and fill in, a property they were interested in, it would come into that buyer as an offer. It would also go into that specific property, so I can see who made an offer on that property.
Hmm.
Okay.
Wow. That's unbelievable. So when somebody, let's say somebody signs up this afternoon, right, or today for REsimpli, how long does it typically take them to kind of get up and running and, ready to do business?
I mean, they could be up and running. Like they can like start calling right away within a minute. They
Wow.
could do texting also previously, but now with the A to B10 DLC requirement, it takes about a week or so to get A to B10 DLC approved.
Hmm.
So the first thing that we always recommend someone do is just come in, book an onboarding call. We offer unlimited onboarding calls. So
Oh,
that's
wow.
the first thing we recommend. Like someone comes in, books an onboarding call. So we help them like make sure their account is set up correctly, buy phone numbers, help them download the app, just make sure their website is up and running. We submit it for A to B10 DLC, make sure we show them, how they can manage the acquisition side, disposition side, the KPIs, which we didn't even go over, that you can manage all your KPIs right here. You can see how many deals you've done, how much revenue, how much net income, and then for every single marketing channel that you have, how much money you spent, how much revenue you've generated, all the leads, qualified leads, appointments, your conversion KPI, cost per lead, cost per deal, and ROI. So like that's the first thing we do is help someone get set up on the account. There's
Hmm.
no limit to how many onboarding calls someone can book with us, but we recommend at least like 2 to 3 calls just to get their account set up, make sure their website is up and
Hmm.
running, they get A2P10 DLC approved. We'll help them set up phone numbers. There's some other automations that you can do within the system, like drip
Hmm.
campaigns and some certain other things that you can do. So we'll make sure we help them with those automation. We'll help them make a call, receive a call, just so that they're familiar with, when a call comes in, what it's going to look like. If they want to make a call, what that's going to look like. And then
Yeah.
we also have a live Zoom call from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. So someone can literally just click right
Oh my
here
goodness.
and be on a live Zoom call. They don't have to schedule anything.
Hmm.
If I had a question, rather than send a chat or email, I can just click right here, get an answer to that
Hmm.
question, and then be done with that. And that's in,
Oh
yeah.
my
So we
goodness.
offer that also.
That's such an amazing feature because the reality is most of the people who are wholesalers, they're like me. I'm just a traditional wholesaler. I'm not the tech guy.
Yeah,
I'm the talky guy. Like I want
exactly.
to just go out and talk to people and make deals. I am not, when I need my phone fixed, I got to find a 14-year-old, right? Somebody who really loves to do that kind of stuff. It's not the thing that I'm great at. So
Yeah.
I love all of that.
No,
That stuff.
absolutely. And we don't want you to, we don't want you to worry about the tech side of it. Like that's our job. That's what you're paying us for, is to take care of the tech side of the work for you. Like you should not have to hire a developer to fix anything. We offer unlimited onboarding. If you have any questions, if you need help with any setup, like if you're using, let's say, speed to lead, need to sell my house past any of the PPL provider, paper lead, like we will do the integration for you. If you're using anything else, for marketing, whatnot, we will do the integration for you. You don't have to pay us anything, just to make sure that it's done correctly.
Correctly.
Yeah, those are the things we want to make sure. But the first thing is like, it's like incremental onboarding. Like there's a lot you can do within REsimpli, so we don't want you to get overwhelmed. Like we want you to just do the most essential part of it, which is generally the acquisition. Make sure your phone numbers are set up, like how
Right.
you want your call to be routed is set up correctly, so you can receive calls properly and make sure it's going to the right person on your team if you have a large team. And then those sort of things. Make sure you have the app downloaded. Just make sure all the settings are correct. Like that's the most important thing. And then we just keep building more on top of it, depending on what are the other things you're doing in your business.
Wow. What are what are some of the biggest challenges that new clients come on? Like what are they struggling with? Is it like system stuff or something else that you're seeing?
I think the biggest thing that people struggle with is they're so used to doing things a certain way.
Hmm.
We at this point we have investors that are just getting started all the way up to doing 30, 35 deals a month. I was just talking to a team from Central Florida yesterday. They're doing about 30 to 35 deals a month. 90% of what they do is wholesaling. So
Yeah.
I was just talking to them yesterday. They're switching over to us for their direct mail marketing. So just kind of going over some best practices. I think one thing, this was an issue with them, but one thing that I noticed, especially with like newer investors,
Hmm.
is they feel like they have to have a very custom process in their business, which we've noticed. Like the most important thing, David, if I can tell anyone, and I'm sure you notice the same thing, is be consistent. Be
Yeah.
consistent. If you are more consistent than anyone else, you will definitely do more deals. I think people sometimes feel like, yes, there's some unique things about your business,
Hmm.
but 90%, 95%, I'll even say 95% of what you're doing in your business, it's very, very similar to what anybody else would be doing. Like
Yeah.
either you're doing outbound marketing, you're pulling a list, calling, texting, or emailing them, or you're doing inbound marketing like PPC, PPL. Like
Yeah.
that's where you start with. We have investors that are doing like 30, 35 deals a month. They're not doing anything that's like super secret, only they know. Like what they're doing is like every
Yeah.
month their direct mail goes out. They
Yeah.
spend like 50 to $100,000 a month every single month on direct mail. That's something they've committed to. But
Yeah.
what we notice when your investors are, let's say they come from a system like Podio, or let's say Go High Level or Salesforce, which is custom, they would say, oh, I need this custom because this is my business is unique, and we always challenge them in a healthy way, like, okay, tell me how it's unique, like
Mhm.
what is unique about your business. And once they start realizing that it's not, they've, just because they had customization, they've actually overcomplicated their business. So that's
Yes.
that's the
Yes.
mindset we want to get them away from. Is the beauty is in simplicity. It's like having discipline, something that you can do day in, day out. I mean, I own a tech company, but this is the process that I use,
Yeah.
like a notebook and a pen, but it works for me. It works
Sure.
for me. I also have a flip phone that I use. Uh,
Oh, I love it.
yeah, it
I
works
always
for
tell
me.
people if I could go back to a flip phone, my life would be so much
Yeah.
easier. I'd be
I,
so
I have a
less
I have a
distracted.
smartphone also, but this is what I keep. When I'm working, this is what I take to bed with me.
Yeah.
Smartphone is out there. Like I'll check in between, but it just but that's what works for me. Like I'm very careful about, mindful about being disciplined with that. I think that's where people falter. Like it's not a very complicated business. Like if I put it in a different context, let's
Yeah.
say someone is trying to get in better shape. There's only like a couple of variables you need to control. You need to eat healthier, and you need to like go to gym
Mhm.
regularly. As long as you control those variables, like there's no way that you will not get to the shape for the most part,
Yeah.
right? Some people will be more intense about it. Some people will like just go to an extreme diet, go to extreme workout, and then maybe they'll lose that weight in 6 months. Some
Mhm.
people will be not as intense, maybe it'll take them 2 years. It's the same thing with investing, right? Some people will be really,
Sure.
really intense, will be consistent with their marketing, and they'll get to the point where they are doing 5-10 deals a month. Some people will have smaller budgets where they can only do 1 to 2 deals a month.
Sure.
So but the key, the fundamental behind it is be consistent.
Yeah.
Without any doubt, just be consistent month in, month out, and it's only a matter of time before you start seeing deals in your pipeline.
Yeah, I think so much of, and I don't know if it's a generational thing. You and me are probably a little older than some of these kids, but they want to always reinvent the wheel and do something
Oh yeah,
special.
and they want
And
and they want instant gratification.
yeah, and the reality is, I had a mentor of mine tell me this one time, like getting rich is not sexy. It's not. It's just, and it's not. It's honestly not that exciting once you figure it out. It's just doing the same thing
Yep.
over and over and over and over. And frankly, it gets a little boring sometimes.
Right.
I've closed over 1,000 properties, and sometimes it just becomes a thing that you do, like breathing.
Right.
But we never deviated from the process.
Oh my
Used
god,
to say we'd stay in our lane, right? I
David,
didn't
that
venture out of
is so true.
wholesaling to land development and storage units. We did one thing, and we did it better than I think anybody else,
That
in
is
the
so true.
country.
That is so true. Like, I mean, you guys are absolutely the best at, uh, like transaction management
Yeah.
side of it, like getting
Yeah.
close. Like, let's say if you also started doing a little bit of disposition, you started doing a
Hmm.
little bit of technology. I mean,
Hmm.
then you're diluting your focus,
Right.
right?
Right.
You're absolutely world class at transaction
Mhm.
management, like getting investors to close their deals,
Right.
and then like people want to come to you to solve that problem. And that's
Yeah.
kind of how investors want to look at themselves as, okay, what is something that I am going to be world class at, and then I'm going to do better than anybody else,
Hmm.
whether it's direct mail, whether it's calling, whether it's PPC and whatnot, and just be absolutely better than anybody else. And then what you said is so true. Even like you can really niche down to staying in your lane. Like I flip in Indiana, we stay under 250, max 300,000 price
Yeah.
point.
Very smart.
And then a couple of years ago, just we got a little greedy and we ended up buying a property for 500, and then we put 50 into it. It was gonna, we thought it was gonna sell for 700. Right then the interest rate started going up, value
Yeah.
started coming down. We ended up selling, we were all in for 550 before any holding cost. We ended up selling it for like 525 cash a year later. So after I include the holding cost, we ended up losing at 50 to
Oh,
60,000 on that deal. but that was such a good lesson. Just told me
Hmm.
I need to stay in my lane.
Yeah.
We're really really good at these 250 to $300,000 price point and below.
Yeah.
I think that's where investors like they feel like okay they've done single family, now they want to go in land development, now they want to go into multifamily, which is great, but you want to feel like there is a right reason for it. You're doing it for your own reason, not because someone else is doing it.
Yeah.
Grass is always greener on the other side, like
Oh, sure.
100%.
I
Yeah.
was at a local REIA here in Chattanooga the other night talking to a big builder. And I mean, an independent builder, but he'll do 60, 70 houses a year. And that's exactly what he was talking about. He's staying in that, 1,600 to 2,100 square
Yeah.
foot house, that just, that blue collar, which now it's crazy. It's 300,000, but that he can just keep popping those
Yep.
out just as quick as
Yeah.
possible,
Yeah,
and they're not getting
once
those.
you know your sweet spot, like
Hmm.
the way we look at it, it's like you should absolutely, as an investor, own it,
Yeah.
and no one should be able to do it better than anyone, better than you in that. Like
Yeah.
it's something you know if you are leaving any money on the table or not. Like if you see that direct mail is working for you, you're getting 5x. Like for every dollar that you're putting in, you're getting 5x. Why would you not put more money into it?
Right.
If you can just keep getting 5x, it's like every dollar you send one soldier out and they
Mhm.
come back with five. Like why would you just keep not sending more soldiers out?
I agree. I agree.
That's where people get too distracted by shiny
Yeah.
objects. I think
Well, it takes discipline, and
it does.
maybe there's a little bit of vanity in all of us, right? Especially those of us that start businesses that we want to do something bigger and better and more exotic. But the reality is, the same like Warren Buffett. He's like, I have rules I live by, and I just do it over and over and over again.
Yeah, that's where the money is made in the boring
Yeah.
things.
Hmm.
Like I cannot tell you how many investors. So we also offer bookkeeping services
Oh, really?
where we will do bookkeeping. So you can link up your like I haven't used QuickBooks in my business for 3 years now. Like everything gets linked up in REsimpli, and then we also offer for you know uh, dozens of investors using REsimpli, and we've only started offering it last year. And then I was talking to our CFO that manages that, and he said he was talking to a couple of investors, and he said a couple of investors said this was the first time their books were actually done at the end of the year.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it just like it felt like such a burden that was lifted off their shoulders. And that's the thing, like a lot of investors, they don't even know their numbers. They're
Yeah.
just like flying blind. They don't know how much money they're spending on which marketing, how much money is coming back. It's scary when you think about it. Like you're basically on a road on a highway and you don't know where you're going. You're just like driving hoping you'll get to the destination where you have a destination in mind but you don't have any GPS.
Hmm.
That part is scary. Like if anyone listening to this, if I could just tell them one thing, I would say like just be consistent with marketing, consistent with follow up, and consistently tracking your KPIs. And then every problem that you have in your business is in your financials. Like if
Sure.
someone started looking at their financials once a week, once a month, it's just not for real estate investor. It applies to David, your business, my business, any business. Like
Sure.
once we started looking at our financials regularly, there's so much information, insight we're going to get about our business where we
Yeah.
can start making better decisions. Like if
Right.
someone just looked at their financials, there will be at least 10-15% net margin that they can gain if they're not doing
Sure.
it right now, that they'll be like, oh, I didn't even believe. It's like budgeting, right? Sometimes you
Yeah.
have so many subscriptions to Netflix, Amazon Prime that you don't even realize, and you're like,
Yeah.
holy crap. You look at it and you're like, oh, I didn't even know I was paying for this. So
Oh,
many
I
things are going to happen. Yeah.
find those all the time. That
Yes,
we needed some software to do something. We were talking about
exactly.
earlier, Webinar Jam,
Yeah.
and my God, it's $300 a month, and we're not even using it.
Yeah, exactly. And then, I mean, there's one thing if you're using it, you're getting value, but sometimes you sign up for something you don't
Yeah,
even realize. And it might be like small amount, 50 bucks there, 100 bucks there,
yeah,
but they
adds
just
up.
keep adding up. They keep adding up. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with you. Keeping track of all of these things is so important. I tell people when I first started, we actually came out of the gate really fast, and we were very very successful very quickly. But it was like being in a wagon at the top of the hill and just going down the hill. Like we had no control. Just our arms and legs were out. We're like
Right.
we. And 2 years later, we got to the bottom, and we're like, oh my God, we have a real business. We need to get our act together and get this all sorted out. And
That's a good
it was a
analogy.
lot of work. So I tell
Yeah.
people do it from the beginning. It's be much better for you.
Yeah. If you set systems ahead of time, do the
Hmm.
boring work ahead of time, it's going to make your life so much easier down the road.
Yeah.
Yeah, people realize sometimes too late that
Hmm.
it's the systems and processes that's going to help them scale the business.
Yeah. Wow. All right. I know we're coming up on an hour, and I've held you up here for a long time. So I know after this, a lot of people are going to be very, very interested in it because, again, I think what you guys have put together is just amazing. Your team is just top notch. I love that, again, everything is all built in there so that, I mean, I can't think of, as we've been sitting here watching this, a single thing that somebody would need in their real estate business,
Right.
that's not in there. So, what's the best place, or where's the best place for them to go?
I mean, they can go to REsimpli.com, and then if they, go to REsimpli.com/easy REI, they get 50% off the first month.
Oh shit!
So they can sign up, get 50% off the first
Nice.
month. They can book a demo if they want, just to kind of
Hmm.
learn. We have recorded demo on our website if they want to
Yeah.
watch that, or if they want to sign up, we get, if they sign up for a monthly plan, they get 14 days free trial. If they sign up for the annual plan, they get 30-day free trial. You don't have to pay us anything. You just check it
Hmm.
out, and hopefully it is for you. If you have any questions, we're more than happy to answer anything, help with anything we can.
Nice. Well, thank you so much for coming on. I know we
Thank
have
you,
a lot of
David.
exciting things that we're working on behind the scenes here over the next couple of
Absolutely.
months. And, for those of you that are watching this today, we were talking just before we came on. One of the things that inspired me and my partner Heather to collect a lot of data was what you did a couple of years ago for the Family Mastermind. So we were talking about coming on and doing like a joint podcast here, maybe at the end of the month,
Absolutely.
and combined the data from Easy REI closings and the 3,600 files that we worked in 2024, and comparing it with what you have.
That
And
would
I
be
think that will
fantastic.
be, my goodness, probably the best data that you're going to find in the
100%.
industry.
Yeah, let's definitely get that on our books. Like, I'm finalizing our data, like just basically putting it in a report this week. Yeah, we should
Yeah.
definitely do that. I'll be very curious to see kind of what you've noticed
Mhm.
on our end versus how
Yeah.
that compares to our data.
Yeah, because we were pulling out, of course, top states, worst states,
What
top
have you
states.
noticed the top states, like in terms of average profit?
I would have to have my
Yeah,
COO come in. The
yeah.
last time we did it was maybe 6 months ago,
Okay.
and I just don't. I'm
Yeah.
not as smart as you. I can't remember, but I know she's pulling. She was actually pulling it yesterday. But then too, the
Interesting.
top state by transaction types, whether it's wholesale, novation, sub two. That type of stuff. So we've been pulling just a bunch of information. So super excited to get with you, and we'll both do some
I would
presentations
love that.
on
I
that.
geek out about that stuff. I know, David, you do too. So
Oh,
yeah,
I
it's gonna
love
be,
it.
yeah.
I mean,
That's the
I
yeah,
use your slide. In fact, after I think I've told you this. After you presented in family,
yeah.
you posted your slides. I downloaded those and referenced them so many times,
Nice.
talking about the number of deals that die and all that stuff, because it just really validated everything that I
It
knew.
does. Yeah.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Yeah. Let's get something on our books for end of the month and just do like a 2024 recap from,
Yeah,
Easy REI and then Resimplify. I think that's going to be very interesting data.
that'll be fantastic. All
So
right, thank you again for coming on. I do really appreciate it, and I'm excited for all the stuff that we have coming up this year.
thank you, David. Thanks.
All right,
Take care.
thank you guys.